What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I wanted to break down what's happening with Tesla stock and break down some very important factors that are affecting it. I'm also going to talk about Tesla's earnings and other things about the overall market and give you guys some price predictions for SPY in the QQQ for many months to come. I'm going to talk about where I think the share prices could go, what's happening with the overall economy, and some other factors about all these charts. But let me first say that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble, the link down below, and deposit $500, you're guaranteed 20 free stocks. Deposit $25,000 or more, you're guaranteed 75 of them, and the offer ends in just 10 days. Anyways, looking at Tesla, we have this very, very nice downtrend that's been established for many, many months. Since July 2023, Tesla was at 300 a share and has been slowly but surely downtrending, downtrending, downtrending. And you can see right here the share price has lost to 200 EMA on the weekly time frame, and it's been really dropping since this year started. So Tesla is now currently at about 146 a share. The question is what's happening with its earnings. So earnings is going to be on Tuesday after the market closes. Tesla is going to be giving us some very important announcements. Now, just know that Wall Street tends to have very high expectations for Tesla. If Tesla misses some things, there's a very good chance, they're going to be very aggressive. Tesla is heavily shorted, and the shorts are just continuing to celebrate, smack Tesla down as much as they can, give as much bad news as possible. They're all working together on that, in my personal opinion. They're doing whatever they can to bring Tesla down as much as they can. But it's not just the news that's being biased, it's also a big factor of the truth, which is the fact that Tesla has hardships ahead of it. So there's kind of like two factors there. Yes, I do believe a lot of news sources are biased against Tesla, but simultaneously, a lot of headlines are true about how Tesla has negative projections, Tesla has slowing growth, Tesla has, not the best of sales, at least for the previous quarter, and there are some weak projections as well. So for their earnings specifically, we're looking at about 52 to 55 cents for the EPS. And then for what we've seen previously, that's actually a bit of a drop compared to the same quarter of 2023. And for revenue, it's estimated to be about 23 billion, showing flat growth year over year. Excuse me. That's going to be very important. On top of this, the prices have seen sharp declines in the past, and we're starting to see some big changes in terms of projections. Even though their earnings alone are going to be very important, we're going to be looking to see what they say about the Chinese EV competition, what's going on with their guidance, because guidance is going to be key for the company. We'll watch and see what Tesla announces for the future. Are they still projecting increases in sales? Are they cutting production? What's happening? We'll have to wait and see. That's going to be very, very important. We're going to be waiting to see if their deliveries end up coming short of deliveries as well. If they come short of expectations, excuse me, as well. And that's going to be very important as well. And any more potential price cuts and things like that, that's going to be key for Tesla, what announcements end up coming out. Now, for Tesla, this is what the consensus EPS is. You can see it's not the best. And historically, Q1 is not the strongest period of growth for Tesla. We tend to not be in the strongest of periods. So just be very careful with all this data coming out. Now, for Tesla specifically, there are other factors affecting the whole market, at least afterwards. But for the shorter term, what's going to affect Tesla the most is going to be their earnings. I'm going to be very straightforward with everyone. If Tesla gets a bounce after earnings, okay, if we get a big bounce, and let's just say they do very well, guidance is very strong, I think if Tesla like kind of closes close to like the 150s, let's just say on Tuesday, hypothetically, this thing could run all the way up to 175 plus a share if we get a big bounce. I believe Tesla could do it if they end up doing well. It's assuming that ends up happening. But from a technical standpoint, Tesla looks bearish for making lower highs and lower lows continuing to fall like this. And if earnings are not the best for Tesla, there's an imbalance all the way down here, this gap to fill in the 120 area. Tesla could tank all the way down to 120 and get very close to 100 again. If we end up getting some bad news, if Tesla gives us bad reports, if guidance is not the best, Tesla could also tank. Okay. So be open minded to all of this, be prepared for everything. I want you guys to just have this in the back of your mind that yes, there could be some possible pain in the future. Am I saying it's going to happen? No, I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'm just saying that these are my possible targets in case we don't get the best of earnings. So please, we'll just have to wait and see. But I'm going to give you specific targets on SPY and the QQQ, however, because those are not dependent solely on earnings like the way Tesla is. Those are going to be dependent on many different factors. So why is the market sinking? There are many different reasons. One of them is the fact that the 10-year Treasury yield is continuing to go up as the Fed has been quite hawkish. We're continuing to see this climb towards that 4.8 and eventually 5 area. This is because the bonds market is inciting fear amongst the stock market because we're starting to see money flowing in different directions. Another factor is the dollar is going up. This tends to happen as inflation goes up as well. And the dollar gaining strength tends to be a little bit more negative for the markets. That's another factor over there. And then additionally to all of this, the VIX is getting launched thanks to everything. Cyclicals do suggest that the market tends to dip around like April to May before it tries to get bought back up around like June to July. As of right now, that is playing somewhat of a role. So it's cyclicals, the overall metrics out there, technicals, not to mention the dollar index, are all playing roles. And then we also have the Fed, which is part of why the yields are going up, because the Fed is inciting fear about what their policies are going to be. Inflation's been going up a little bit for the last couple of months for all items, and if this continues on this trend, that's going to be bearish. What could continue this? What could continue this trend and cause inflation to go up higher could be the whole situation involving Israel and Iran right now. So I just want to say that Iran had their retaliation attack over the weekend. That was like the past weekend. Israel mounted airstrikes back at them. That's their counterattack. And now Iran's in a situation where they're not sure if they're going to attack yet. I'm going to wait and see if any news comes out for this. At the time I'm recording this, I'm not seeing news about that, no confirmation yet. But if they keep attacking each other back and forth, crude is going to start increasing, and this is going to cause inflation to start going up. If inflation goes up, the Fed has to be a bit more hawkish. Yields are going to start climbing again. The dollar is going to start climbing. That's going to be bearish for the markets. All right. So the market is very fearful. We're starting to see a lot of shorts piling in, and the market sentiment has shifted because of all these different factors which I named. So with that being said, what's going to happen to the market? What's happening to SPY and the QQQ? I'm going to conclude this video by talking about those two final stocks. So for SPY, I'm going to clear out all my drawings. Give me 1 second, guys. So what I'm seeing on these time frames is I see more potential downside. And let me be very, very straightforward. I think SPY is going to come down to about 475 a share. That's the previous all-time high from 2020. I think this was 2022 before this big drop came. I think we're going to drop all the way here. Now, are we going to drop straight down? The answer is not necessarily. And I think this depends on many different factors. So when I take my key Fibonacci retracement tool, I can show you guys two very important things. The first thing is starting with this low right here, right about, actually, hold on. I'm supposed to start from the other end. I need to use the weekly chart, guys. Sorry about that. I want to start from this low right here. This is actually going to be a lot more efficient. So I made a little mistake for a second, but I want to correct myself. So on the weekly charts, this is my Fibonacci retracement tool. And our 0.236 retracements at that 497 area. And it's a little bit under right now. So it's a little bit below the 0.236 retracement. And we're approaching our 20 EMA on the weekly time frame. So what this means is that SPY has a support at 493. I think we could dip a little bit more, but I think that there might be a signal for a rebound. I think there is a chance we might rebound. There's no sign on the chart yet that we're bouncing. So don't assume we're going to bounce yet. Don't catch a falling knife. But we have to watch for confirmation first. But if we do get a little rebound thanks to big tech earnings coming out, as we have Meta and a bunch of other stocks announcing their earnings, it is possible we get one more attempt to push back into the 500s before we continue lower towards the end of May. If that happens, watch the 0.382 retracement, this 480 support, and then 467 is the 0.5 area, and this aligns with our 50 EMA over here. So this tells me that there might be more downside coming. So from the way I suspect everything's going to play out, I think that we have to watch for a bottom. I don't know where the bottom is going to be for the temporary period. Is it going to be 490? Is it going to be 493? Is the bottom in? I don't know yet. We have to wait and see next week. And then if we do get a little rebound thanks to tech, we could see an attempt to get back to like 505, 500, something like that. We'll have to wait and see where this thing tops at. And then after that, I suspect that this previous high, so this zone right here, this like 475 area, is going to be tested as we approach May. So I think there's going to be another dip coming like in this range somewhere. It's going to be between the 0.382 and the 0.5 retracement on SPY most likely. And this aligns with the 50 EMA, so we have a confluence of support. Somewhere close to 475, around that range, 470 is where we could be going before we see another attempt to rebound like this. So I suspect that this is the most likely possibility. I do believe we're going to likely come all the way down, and I think the market was due for a little pullback, and all these different factors are playing a big role in why this is happening. I don't think we're done quite yet when we look at the weekly and then the monthly time frames. So that's what I'm seeing so far. Don't forget that this also aligns with other factors, especially from a Fibonacci standpoint. And then we'll have to see how things go. I also noticed on the monthly, the 20 EMA is trying to play catch up. The point 0.5 retracement aligns with 467. So somewhere in that range, I do believe that's where we're going to end up bottoming. And that's what I see for SPY for the time being. So once again, we're not going to fall straight to 475. I definitely don't think that's going to happen. I think we could rebound a little bit first and then continue lower, eventually test that previous resistance, and then make our way down to those levels. If we fail at 467, if the point five fails, then I'm going to be looking at this high right here, like 460. I don't think we're going to drop. I don't know if we're going to drop that low. It's always a possibility, but I kind of doubt that. I feel like we're going to take it one step at a time. So we're going to look for a little possible rebound if we get confirmation of a bounce, which we don't have it yet. And then we could continue lower as we approach the month of May, and we should be testing 475 in my personal opinion, or even lower than that, maybe a little bit lower depending on how low we go before we see another bounce as we approach the June period. That is my projection for SPY based off these fib levels and different factors. The QQQ is a little bit different. So let me kind of close everything real quick. So looking at this, all right, I just want to call out on the weekly time frame. The QQQ has this low right here. We can actually draw out a Fibonacci retracement. And as you guys could tell, we lost our 0.236 retracement area. And there is a risk of this coming down to about 408. 408 to 412 is where I think this has key support to potentially bounce, possibly, not a guarantee. And if we do see a little rebound, we could retest 425, which is the 0.236 zone. And then we could start sinking lower towards, well, the first low is going to be 405. And then the next one's going to be all the way down to the 0.5 retracement at 396. And then we have our zero point 0.5 to 0.618 retracement zone. This kind of aligns with this previous high. So basically, 384 to 390, like in that range, could be where this thing ends up bottoming. Somewhere all the way down here in the 380s is where the ultimate bottom could be. It sounds crazy, but there could be a lot more downside coming later on. So, kind of like SPY, what I suspect could happen is we retrace a bit more, get one little pop going into next week or so, and then we just continue lower and we find our bottom very close to one of these levels before we get a big bounce like that. So that's kind of like how I see this chart moving. A little pop and then drop. The golden pocket might not be reached. I'm not too sure about that, but I do see previous resistance potentially being tested, and there is a risk for the QQQ. We might get a temporary bounce next week if we get good earnings from tech, such as like Meta and Microsoft and the others like Alphabet. But then we could always dip lower if there's more risks in the market with PCE coming out, inflationary data, the whole Israel situation, and all these different factors. They could still drag the market down lower. So I still suspect the market's on a downtrend. There's more downside coming. I do anticipate some more bearish targets, even on SPY and the others. So we'll see how things go. But I just want to say for now, we're not going to worry way too much about this. Let me just make it clear that we have to wait and see what happens with data. Let's wait and see what happens with the next couple of days because we have to wait and see if the market actually gets the bounce first because we have to watch for confirmation. The charts don't show a bounce yet, so I have to wait and see. And that's what I kind of project, at least in my personal opinion, for the markets. For Tesla, I can't make any promises, unfortunately. It all depends on its earnings. So if earnings are a flop, Tesla could fall all the way down to fill the gap at 120, if not below that. If earnings are really good, we get good guidance, 175 is coming. All right. So Tesla's looking bearish overall, but we'll see what earnings gives us. Next week is going to be big, and we'll see how the market performs. Hopefully this video was very, very insightful. I made it nice, quick, short, and simple, went over some economics and other things like that. So get ready for what's about to come. We'll see how the charts look, and make sure you watch these key levels. Thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate every single one of you. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow. Thanks again, and peace out.